if I was coming to set up my lead scoring in HubSpot, the first steps I would be is you almost want to have a bit of a brainstorm session with your sales team before you even begin lead scoring. There are some basics you can do, but you need to understand what makes a good lead to your sales team. So what bits of information do they need to know? How many employees are there? What the company size is? What the annual revenue is? You know, if they hit a certain bracket of turnover, is that important to them guys? As well as if, you know, do the sales reps need to know what service they're interested in to then tailor their conversations off the back of that? Also good information to have. So you almost want to run a bit of an active session between yourself, whoever's setting up lead scoring, and the sales team, just to really understand what it is. A good question I always ask when we do kickoffs is, if your perfect lead was to walk through that door now, what would they look like? What information would you have about them? That's always a good place to start. You know, you'll normally get the sales guys having a good chat about what an ideal lead will look like. Once you've done with that, again, then you want to sort of base that off the back of that. You then want to move to the marketing side. So you want to look at things like, right, what web pages are these guys viewing? If you think of your website, some of those pages are going to have a much higher perceived value for you. So if you know somebody's looking at a particular service page, you know, that takes, maybe they've got to go through the main nav, and then they've got to go through a few child pages to get there. If they've done some digging to get to that page, you could safely say for sure that, you know, is of importance to them. So they have actively seeked out that service. So you could hire them as a, you know, much higher lead score than just visiting the homepage or just visiting the blog, because there's a lot, you know, there's a lot more intent involved if they are digging out those particular services. Another mistake I see is people don't time their lead scoring. They'll just sort of set it, and, you know, somebody's viewed the website 3 times and they might get a score of 10. Well, great. What if they viewed it 3 times last year? That lead's no longer relevant yet. It's going to be bloating up your data. It's going to be inaccurate. So when it comes to your reporting, that's also not going to be accurate as well. So you've got to think ahead, you know, so things like that. So good practice would be, you know, just to keep your lead scoring very time sensitive, whether it's 2 months, 3 months, 30 days, whatever works best for your business. So, you know, things like the website as well. Then going on to emails, how many emails have they opened? How many emails have been sent and they haven't engaged? If they're not engaged for 3 or 4 emails, again, that to me shows that somebody's boarding on grey mail. So you want to start bringing those scores down. So you really want to be looking at negative attributes for lead scoring as well, and not just the positives. There are also actions that people take that can negatively affect that score. Another one we see quite a lot is students looking for a bit of information. If we can get that information from the visitor quite quickly, if they're viewing the careers page or looking at jobs, or they've said on a form that they're filling out that they are a student just looking for information, make sure you negatively score them high enough. You know, so again, they're not bloating up your data. What else is there, Sam?
I think you've covered most things there. I think the only thing for me is to always maintain that it's a work in progress. You know, lead scoring is something that should be revisited on like a quarterly, a biannual, or at very least an annual basis, just to make sure, you know, it's still working. They can be tweaked at all times. Keep talking to the sales team and the SQLs that are coming through. Are they what you're expecting to see, or some sneaking through that you don't think are ready? And obviously you can either tighten that up or loosen it up based on that feedback. So just keep that line of communication open between the teams and be ready to revisit it, you know, whenever needed.